the narration, but I don't, of course, we'll get into the science of the hadith as far as its chains and narrators. طيب. The problem is with a lot of brothers is, or some of the people who heard this narration, what they ask, what is the meaning of it? The meaning is correct, and a lot of people now need to know based upon the fundamentals that I have not had the chance to teach you guys yet, but inshallah now, because you have to ask me, now I have to entertain and open the door up. Because due to the lack of certain principles that we weren't able to reach yet, because we're starting with the basics, is the reason why you don't understand the hadith. Based upon the certain fundamental principles that we did not get a chance to really disseminate to the people yet. But at any rate, firstly, the meaning of the hadith, that Allah created Adam upon his image. So we affirmed, firstly, number one, we affirmed the word surah. We affirmed the word image. Image of Rahman, the image of the most merciful. Keep in mind, there's that narration that says, that's also authentic, where it says that Allah created Adam upon the image of Ar-Rahman. So that makes it even more clear. That Allah created Adam upon the image of the most merciful. All right, everyone? So to keep that narration in mind. Keep that narration in your mind. طيب. The problem is, verily Allah created Adam in his image. Does his, in the word his image, does it go back to Adam or does it go back to Allah? That's the issue. That's the issue. Does the pronoun go back to Allah or does it go back to who? Adam. That's the issue. طيب. So firstly, number one, from Ahl Ilm, and we'll talk about it. This is the correct opinion, because I'm going to break it all down. Don't worry. From them who say that explain that the meaning that Allah created Adam in his image or upon his image, that it is speaking about the sifa, the characteristic. Don't write it down yet. Just listen. This is very, very important. I don't want you guys to write it down yet. Meaning that there's an agreement in the wording and in the word and the general meaning. What they call al-mutlaq al-kulli, meaning the general meaning. Meaning, just as Allah hears hearing, the creation has what? Hearing. Just as Allah sees everything, creation likewise has the characteristic of. Just as Allah hears everything, just like the creation has the characteristic of Jade. Understand? So far it's clear. No brainer. So it's not difficult to understand that. What, is it clear so far? So that's the meaning. There's an agreement. So they give the first meaning of this narration is based upon the sifa, the characteristic, meaning that there's agreement in the what? There's an ittifaq, an agreement in the wording and the general meaning. Is it clear? Just as Allah Ta'ala has creation, has knowledge, which is complete, the creation has the same characteristic of what we know as what? Knowledge. And to the end of it. Is it clear so far, everyone? Just as the creation has hearing and sight, before the connection takes place. Before the connection takes place, as far as in the actual what? Mentioning of it in the context. For if you just say it, knowledge, Allah has knowledge, and His knowledge is complete, and likewise the creation has what? Knowledge. The knowledge of the Creator does not resemble the what? Allah's Ta'ala's knowledge is absolutely complete, whereas the knowledge of the creation is deficient. So that shows there's no what? Resemblance. However, notice in my speech, I said before the idafa takes place, the general meaning, before the connection takes place, when you connect knowledge to Allah or connect knowledge to the creation. Once you have now connected it, then there's no resemblance whatsoever. As far as in the wording, in the context of the meaning when you mention it in the sentence. But if you just say generally knowledge is what? The general meaning and the wording, there is a what? There is an agreement. And the wording and the general meaning before the connection takes place. It's that simple. So far, is it clear what I'm saying? Or is it difficult to understand what I'm saying? Just hear me out before I get into a little bit more detail. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying so far? G. So we said the agreement is in the general meaning and it's in the wording before, like we said, the connection takes place. And that's no problem with that, and it's a no-brainer for everyone, alhamdulillah. So we said that the agreement between the creation and the creator is some of the characteristics in just the mere wording and just the general meaning before the connection takes place. It's clear, isn't it? Is it clear or is it not clear? G. That's what you'll find that Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, that he calls al-ishtirak al-am, or what they call al-mutlaq al-kulli. Al-mutlaq al-kulli means just general meaning. That's all you need to know. So there is an agreement in that, like we said. So basically, just to say, the first meaning of this hadith, Jamash, focus on, just put it down, focus on what I'm saying. Verily, the hadith is particularizing the characteristics of Allah with Allah after the idafa takes place. Here in this hadith of, verily Allah created Adam upon his image. It's going back to what we just discussed, where there's agreements in agreements in what? And the wording? General meaning before the idafa takes place. So the hadith is talking about Allah created Adam upon his image. It's speaking about what? It's going back to Allah. Whereas those characteristics that they what? Agreeing. Just as Allah what? Sees everything and has sight, the creation has sight, but it does not see everything. But in the wording and the general meaning, they agree. So that's one of the first meanings of the hadith. Allah created Adam upon his image. Is that clear or not clear? So now, you see when I just broke it down, everyone understands now. It's clear. So you don't have to use a lot of brain power to say, oh, you know, it's a mystical meaning of which you have to figure it out in your head. No. What I said was clear. It's simple. You understand, everyone? طيب. So that's what one some of Ahl Ilm that they mentioned, that they say the meaning of the hadith is that the hadith is particularizing the characteristics of Allah with the what? After the connection was made. Or after the connection was made in the context or in the sentence. So if you say hearing of Allah or sight of Allah or knowledge of Allah, it's impossible that Allah will share with anyone in those characteristics after the connection has been made. Here you will call this, brothers and sisters, idafa to takhsis, the connection of particularizing the characteristic. Meaning, once the characteristic has been connected with Allah, there's no resemblance and there's no sharing in the characteristic or the name. Once they've been connected with each other in the context. Is it clear what I'm saying? Once you say hearing of Allah, does that now resemble the hearing of the creation? No, it doesn't. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Clear what I'm saying? طيب. So verily basically we're saying, just to sum it up, that Allah created Adam in this manner just as the children of Adam and the progeny of Adam upon his image, in which, like we said, the characteristics that they were created upon, that they share in the general meaning and in the general wording before the connection takes place, and that's one tafsir. That's clear. Just understand so far, everyone? And that's based upon the narrations of the Salaf, where they said, Numirru al-hadith kama ja'. As we know, we narrate the hadith just as it came. We narrate the hadith as it came, and we affirm the image that befits Allah Ta'ala without looking for the true reality of how it is, or how is that image, or the true reality of the image. How it is, meaning the characteristics of Allah. Even though, like we said, it gets some more detail, but this is just to sum it up. This is just to sum it up. That's one meaning of the hadith. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Some of Ahl Ilm, that to me, the first opinion, like we're going to discuss, that's the strongest. Some of Ahl Ilm say this. لذلك بعض أهل العلم قد يخرج الحديث من نصوص الصفات. You'll find that, so now, basically, just to sum up everything, they made the hadith from the characteristics, from the text that affirm the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that befits Him. Based upon the first meaning, what we just mentioned, right or wrong? So just to sum it up, they're saying that Allah created Adam upon His image, that the damir, or saying His image, goes back to Allah, not Adam. And that's the strongest opinion. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? His image. Verily Allah created Adam upon His image. His goes back to Adam or Allah? Allah. So based upon that meaning, that means that what? That this hadith is from the narrations that affirms the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That affirms characteristics that befits Him, which does not resemble the creation. However, they still agree in what? The wording and the general meaning before the idafah to takhsis takes place. Before the connection of specifying each one takes place. When you made the connection. Is it clear or is it not clear? Like you said, idafah to takhsis only takes place after you connect it in your speech. You say, knowledge of Allah, knowledge of the creation. Now it's mukhassas. You made the connection. Now there's no what resemblance in either affair. It's clear, right, everyone? Once you made the connection. Before the connection, there is a what? Agreement. Agreement in what, everyone? In the wording and general meaning. Understand? Jayid. طيب, so now I'll get into the other one, because I had to mention all of them. طيب, so some of Ahl Ilm say that the hadith is not from the text of the sifat of Allah. Rather, they made the damir, or the pronoun, he or his. They didn't say it goes back to Allah, they said it goes back to what? Adam. Doesn't return back to Allah, returns back to what? Adam. Right, we already mentioned the hadith in its totality, in its whole full context. It says if one of you is to strike his servant or to strike his concubine, to the end of the narration, we already said it. I already said the hadith. It says here, so based upon this, so it goes back to Adam. He says you'll find that this type of context, even in balagha, and what they call it in the science of eloquence, is called tashbih al-maqloob, the resemblance where something's been flipped, meaning that which the root was now resembled with what branched off from it. Meaning Adam is the root and his children are his what? His branches. Is it clear so far what I'm saying? So we mentioned here, so Adam was resembled with his what? His children. He says, وَلَمْ يُشَبَّهَ الْوَلَدْ بِالْوَالِدِ. And you notice in the hadith that the child was not what? Resembled with the what? The father. However, it was switched in the hadith. It was flipped. Where it said, based upon the second meaning of what we're saying, that the damir returns back to Adam. So Adam is the root, his children are the what? The branches. So Adam was what? Resembled, or the root was resembled with the branches and not the opposite, just to sum up everything. So they try to say that Allah created Adam upon the surah of the one who's been what? Who's been hit. Based upon the full hadith. If you read the hadith from the beginning to end, it's talking about hitting someone. The whole hadith is talking about hitting someone. From beginning to end. What does the first part of the hadith say? If one of you was to hit his what? His servant or slave or concubine, let him abstain from hitting the what? Face. One narration says, do not strike the face and do not uglify it. So the whole hadith is talking about what? striking someone's what? Face. So they say that the second tafsir of the meaning of the hadith returns back to Adam. Returns back to what? To Adam. Based upon that the person is not supposed to what? Strike the face. We already talked about the meaning of it. So it's saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam upon the sword of the one who's been struck, meaning that individual, that person. That Allah ta'ala created Adam upon the image of this madroob, or the one who's been what? Who's been hit. All right, so now I'm going to sum it up everything. Why did they get this tafsir, saying they went upon Adam? I'm sorry, everyone. I shouldn't have said Adam. I'm sorry, everyone. So the second tafsir is to say that the damir returns back to one who's been hit. The one who's been hit. It says if one of you was to be what? If one of you was to hit his ghulam, or one who's his servant. So the one who is hit is his servant. He said, for verily Allah created Adam upon his image, meaning upon Adam's image, of course. So khalaq Allah. So there's another narration which is in Bukhari. It's also authentic. He says, so some of them look to the end and say there's another narration. This is what Imam al-Albani even mentioned. He said that Allah created Adam upon his image, and there's another narration said, whereas his tool or his height was 60 arm spans. So that's another narration. That Allah created Adam upon his image, and his height was 60 dhira'an, was 60 arm spans, which was very, very tall. That's huge. So basically, that Adam was created what? He was created tall. Sittuna dhira' or 60 arm spans is very tall. And Adam, that was his original creation. And we know, like, no one became smaller other than his progeny that came after them. After that, gradually they started becoming smaller in their stature, or what have you. So basically, this other narration is just to sum up, to say, verily Allah created Adam upon his image, and his height was tuned with 60 arm spans. Meaning this is how Allah created what? Adam, which is to be very what? Tall, which is clear. So basically, one of them say, so first one is saying that it goes back to Allah, which is the strongest opinion. The strongest opinion, which I'm going to clarify. The second one is that the damir returns back, or his image returns back to the one who's been hit, meaning the individual. And there's another tafsir to say that Allah created Adam upon his image, that it returns back to Adam himself. So just to sum it up, I'll say it again. Number one, they say that the meaning of the hadith, his image returns back to Allah. The second one is to say that it returns back to the one who's been hit. The third one is that it returns back to Adam himself. So that's just to sum it up. All right, everyone? He says, فَإِنْ someone for يكون مرجع ضمير آدم نفسه. وعلى هالهيئة لذلك كل من يدخل الجنة يدخل في طوله 60 ذراع كأبيهم آدم. Why do they say that? Because when the people enter paradise, everybody will become like their father Adam, which will be what? Very tall in stature, which is 60 arm spans, which is very tall. So that people of paradise will be very big and tall and very strong. You understand, everyone? طيب. The great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, rahimahullah, that he said that these are the two, if you want to say, just to sum it up, these are the two strongest meanings that we mentioned. So you have one people that says that it's not from the text of the characteristics of Allah, and some of them say it is. He says, however, he said the majority of Ahl Ilm, and that we said that's the strongest, he said that it is from those characteristics, or from those narrations that affirm the characteristics of Allah. And their proof for that is this narration that I just mentioned in the first part of the lecture, which is what, everyone? That Allah created him, that this is the faisal, this is what decided everything. This is what knocked out the ikhtilaf. What I just told you in the beginning of the lesson. Verily Allah created Adam upon the image of Ar-Rahman. Khalas, done. Allah created Adam upon the image of the All-Merciful. So based upon that narration, that what? That says that which one of the opinions are the strongest? First. The first. Is it clear what I'm saying? خلق الله آدم على صورة الرحمن. The great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, rahimahullah, he said, at first I said that meant the second. He says, until it was given to me by the great Imam, Sheikh Humud At-Tawheed. Sheikh Humud At-Tawheed and Sheikh Abdul-Aziz bin Baz, when they brought the text, which was authentic, that the actual wording, Rahman, Surah Al-Rahman, when they authenticated it, they said that was what was authentic. He said, then after this knowledge reached me, then I changed my what? My position. Because he said we did not have knowledge of that particular narration. Once that narration was authenticated, he said, then I changed my position and said it was what? It was the first meaning, or the meaning of the first. So he even said it, I'll even read it in Arabic what he said. He said, وَبَعْدَ ذَلك ثَبَتَ لَدَيْنَا أَنَ الْحَدِيث صَحِيح بناء على صحة هذا الحديث يكون المعنى الأول هو الراجح أي أن الحديث من نصوص الصفات خلق الله آدم على صورة الرحمن يعني متصفا ببعض صفاته على ما شرحنا. He said that the meaning of the hadith, he says after the great Imam Sheikh Humud At-Tawheed along with the great Imam Sheikh bin Baz brought this text, he says after that's been established and affirmed, he said that narration is authentic. So based upon the authenticity of this narration that we said, the first meaning, it is correct. And that this hadith is from the text of the characteristics of Allah. That Allah created Adam upon the image of Ar-Rahman. Meaning, having the characteristics of what they agree in. As far as the wording, and as far as what? The general meaning. Before the connection takes place. What they call idafat al-takhsis. Done. Is it clear now? Now I'll give you some extra information, just to put some more emphasis. طيب. Now we go back to the great Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah. What does Imam Ahmad say? So Imam Ahmad, that we know from his ashab, or from the great people who narrated upon Imam Ahmad, number one, from them was his son. His son, Abdullah bin Imam Ahmad, which he had a book called As-Sunnah. Right, everyone? We also know from the scholars of Imam Ahmad, from those who conveyed his knowledge, in his books of Su'alat, when he asked Imam Ahmad, was the second called Al-Kawsaj, Ishaq ibn Mansur, which was also from the close Ashab al-Imam Ahmad, from those who were close to Imam Ahmad and taken his knowledge, was Ishaq ibn Mansur al-Kawsaj. Also from the people who was close to Imam Ahmad was Abu Bakr al-Marudhi. So we have, and there's others. But at any rate, طيب, it was asked Imam Ahmad about this hadith. سئل بعض المحدثين قال خلقه على صورته قال على صورة الطين. He said, some of them said that the meaning of the image of dirt, that Allah created Adam in the image of dirt, Allah that created, do not hit the face. Verily Allah created Adam in the image of, or in his image, in his image. They say that the meaning his is mud or clay. Imam Ahmad said this is the speech of the Jahmiyyah. This is the speech of the Jahmiyyah. All right, everyone? طيب, the great Imam Ishaq ibn Mansur, his name was Kawsaj. I have his book. It's in my library. It's called Kitaab Su'alat al-Imam Ahmad. And Imam Ahmad was asked questions by Ishaq ibn Mansur al-Kawsaj. I have it in my library. It's like this long. It's called the Masail or Su'alat al-Imam Ahmad, Masail Imam Ahmad in fiqh. But at any rate, Kawsaj asked the question to Imam Ahmad. He said, The hadith about do not uglify the face. Verily Allah created Adam upon his image. He said, do you say that these hadith of Imam Ahmad, Abu Abdullah? This is what Imam Ahmad said. Hadith sahih. Listen to what his sheikh said. Sheikh, the great Imam of Ahlul Sunnah, Ibn Rahawayh. He also said it sahih. So yeah, Imam Ahmad said it sahih. Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, he said it's also what? Sahih. He said no one leaves it off except the mubtadi', except the one who's an innovator. Or he has a weak way of thinking. Da'if al-ra'i. So then it's also actually Imam Ahmad. It said, verily Allah created Adam upon the image of Adam. He said, whoever says this, then he's a Jahmi. So he said that basically that to say that his goes back to Adam is a what? Jahmi. Imam Ahmad said he's a Jahmi. Then Imam Ahmad added another beneficial particular statement where he said, if that was the case, it'd go back to Adam. وَأَيُّ صُورَ كَانَتْ لِآدَمْ قَبْلَ أَن يَخْلُقَهُ. He said, then which image was it for Adam before Allah created it then? If that's the case. Upon which image? So that's the reason why he negated that what? That the actual pronoun goes back to what? To Adam. Because of this reason. Rather it goes back to who? Goes back to Allah Ta'ala. And he said whoever says it went back to Adam, then he's a what? Jahmi. Is it clear so far what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. Again, Ishaq ibn Mansur al-Kawsaj asked Imam Ahmad, he said, this hadith is authentic. He said in another narration, now we have the great Imam, al-Imam al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah. Imam al-Dhahabi said in his tarjumah of Hamdan ibn al-Haytham, there was a narrator named Hamdan ibn al-Haytham, that he came and did something evil upon Imam Ahmad. When he narrated this narration upon Imam Ahmad, that he said that the pronoun that it returns back to Adam, not to Allah. And he said, narrated that upon Imam Ahmad. He said, إن الله خلق آدم على صورته زعم أنه قال صور الله صورة آدم قبل خلقه على تلك الصورة. That this individual named Hamdan al-Haytham lied upon Imam Ahmad, where he claimed that Allah made an image of Adam before he created him, then created him upon that image. Keep in mind, he said that that's what? He did something what? Evil, right? He said, فَأَمَّا أَن يَكُونَ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ آدَمْ عَلَى صُورَتِهِ فَلَا. We already talked about that. طيب. Imam Ahmad said this again, just as been narrated upon the Prophet ﷺ, verily Allah created Adam upon the surah of Ar-Rahman. Khalas, Imam Ahmad said it. Again, affirming this what? This narration that we said. He says, again, we say that the image is upon, returns back to who? Allah. And then Imam Ahmad said it again. He said, then which image was it for Adam before he created him then? Which image? It goes back to Allah, not to what? Not to Adam. This individual named Hamdan ibn al-Haytham, he claimed that Allah created an image, and then created Adam, and then created Adam upon that image, which is a lie. There's no narration that's authentic that affirms that. You understand, everyone? To the point where Imam Ahmad was stern against that individual that lied against him and said this. He said that whoever says, one narration, he says, Inna Allah khalaqa Adam, he says, ala surati rajul. He said it was narrated that said that individual mentioned that Allah created Adam upon the image of a man. And Imam Ahmad, his son, said, my father said, kadhib, a lie. That is the statement of the Jahmiyyah. So then it was asked about this individual named, again, Hamdan ibn al-Haytham, that said this again. Listen to it. He says, Hajra Abu Shaykh li makan hikaya Hamdan ibn al-Haytham. He says, if you want me to give you salams, right? If you want me to give you salams, remove from your book that evil narration of Hamdan ibn al-Haytham. He said, remove that evil narration, which is a lie. A lie upon the Messenger of Allah, a lie upon Allah, and a lie upon the ulama who narrated it. You made that, you fabricated that narration. And we know the evils of fabricating hadith. That's an evil act. You understand, everyone? Because it can affect the people's religion. And now how many fabricated hadith do the Sufis use? Plenty. They have a book filled with it, with a bunch of fabricated hadith. And the people to this day are what? Are being misled by those fabricated narrations that are what? That are misleading the people, that are lies upon Allah and lies upon the Messenger of Allah. And the Sufis read it all day long. And if they want me to bring the book, I'll show you all the fabricated, weak hadith that they say in it, lying upon Allah and His Messenger. And you want me to embrace Sufiya when they lie upon Allah and His Messenger and bringing fabricated narrations and bringing narrations of shirk and kufr, basically using filthy dreams as revelation to justify their filth and their nonsense and their bid'ah and their narrations and their different wicked practices that they practice in their circles. Of all the bid'ah and the dhikr that they make that's innovated and evil. Of Allah, 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 Allah. All that's fabricated, that's satanic. Has no fabrication, nothing authentic upon the Prophet ﷺ. Hooah. It's like a clown. And you want me to believe and you want me to act upon that? It's nonsense. So this individual named Haytham ibn Uwa, Hamdan ibn al-Haytham, ya ma'ajal ikhwa, this individual right here lied. He said, if you don't remove that narration out of that book, if you want me to what? If you want me to give you salams, he said, remove that narration upon Hamdan ibn al-Haytham out of his what? Out of his book. Saying that the Rahman, that his image goes back to who? Goes back to Adam. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? The great Imam Abu Bakr al-Ajurri, Kitaab al-Sharia, one of my favorite books. Listen to what he says. He says, سمعت أبا عبد الله الزبيدي وسئل عن معنى هذا الحديث فذكر مثل ما قيل فيه ثم قال أبو عبد الله نؤمن بهذه الأخبار التي جاءت كما جاءت. He says, we believe in these narrations just as it came. We believe it wholeheartedly. And we don't say how it is. However, we stop at where the people before stopped at. فنقول في ذلك ما جاءت به الأخبار كما جاءت. We said that the narration came and it's informed us just as it came. So basically, he's just to sum up to say that the narration is from the affair of what? The sifat and the characteristics of Allah. Just to sum it up. So it goes back, that image returns back to what, everyone? It goes back to Allah. Not back to what? Not back to Adam. Based upon, like we said, that the Faisal, the Hakim, and the Qadiyya is the extra narration, the wording where it says that Allah created Adam upon the image of who? Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. So it returns back to who? Goes back to Allah to be with the Adam. That's also the position of the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad al-Ansari. Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari. Sheikh al-Mashayikh. The great Imam from our days and times. For you'll find that every single individual that we just mentioned, for all the Imam of today, all knew each other. Sheikh Bamaz, Sheikh al-Albani, Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari, Sheikh Muhammad Amal al-Jami, Sheikh Hamoud al-Tuwajiri, all these Imam all knew each other. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? All of them are known, they all lived at the same time. The great Imam of these days and times, the Imam of Ahl Sunnah, of those of the correct belief system, and not from the deviant methodologies of the sects from the Muslims, but those who traverse the path upon what was correct. This is their speech. And this was Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari also mentioned. Other than al-Imam al-Albani, which I'll bring. That, in which you'll find that they say that was from Minzallat al-Imam al-Albani. That was from the mistakes that he made. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him for that. We'll talk about that later and I'll show everyone. But what is connected, what is correct in this regard, and they will be rewarded for his ijtihad, rahimahullah. But as far as in regards for this particular position, that we take the Imam of especially al-Imam Ahmad, al-Imam al-Bukhari, and also from the other Imam who mentioned what the meaning of the hadith is. And also the great Imam Muhammad Aman al-Jami. It doesn't even matter whether it's not, we'll talk about, I wanted to bring a little bit extra information. I'll bring it next class, inshallah. There's something else I wanted to read, but I'll read it later. Even if we did say it was upon the second meaning, even the second meaning, it would be what? with second meaning would still be correct. Whether it be the first or the second, and I'll bring my other information later, inshallah. But I just wanted to sum it up. So you have Sheikh Hamad al-Ansari, and you also have the great Imam from the past, not from the past, from the days and times, who was from the great A'imma, if not from the greatest scholars of today in Morocco, who is Sheikh Taqiyuddin. He's not living right now, rahimahullah, Taqiyuddin al-Hilali. The great Imam Taqiyuddin al-Hilali, rahimahullah. He was from the A'imma of these days and times, who was from Morocco. I think he died about maybe 40 years ago, 50 years ago, rahimahullah, approximately. The great Imam Taqiyuddin al-Hilali, rahimahullah. Where he also said that this hadith in this narration is from what? And I'll read it quickly what he says. He says, وَالْحَقْ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِ أَهْلُ السُّنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ مِنَ الصَّحَابَةِ وَالتَّابِعِينَ وَمَنْ تَبِعَهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ. He said, الْإِيمَانِ بِكُلِّ مَا وَصَفَ اللَّهُ. Go back to what he says. He says that Allah to be glorified and raised far above, resembling the creation. And we say, verily, Allah has a face, Allah has two eyes, 2 hands, 2 feet, fingers, to the end of it. He says, just as we affirm also image, and just as we affirm knowledge, and hearing, and sight, and other than that from the characteristics, they do not resemble the characteristic of the creation. This is what we firmly believe, and we profess Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. So he's saying that basically this narration is just as I said in the first part of the lecture, which is what? That it goes back, that there's agreements in the wording and the what? General meaning. Before the idafa what? Takes place. It's that simple. And even upon the other tafsir, if we get into it, that even is not confusing. We'll talk about that later, inshallah. But that's the strongest position. We had the positions of all the A'imma, from the Imam Ahmed, from Abu Bakr al-Ajurri, and from the A'imma of the past, from also Ibn Battah, Sahib al-Sunnah, from also his book called Sharh Usul I'tiqad Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah Bal-Lalaka'i, and also the Imam Ibn Battah and his Ibana al-Kubra also say that that's the meaning of the hadith. All these A'imma who mention it say that there's agreement in the general meaning and in the what? In the wording. Before the idafa or the takhsis or the particularization takes place. Is it clear now? So is that everyone, as they start still confused? So now you see these narrations. Of course, when a person doesn't have, as far as they didn't attain the full knowledge of the affair, you'd be like, oh, it's confusing. That sounds like something the Christians say. They say that is what? That it is resemblance. You understand? Of the creation. Of course, we know that the Christians do fall into tashbih. They resemble Allah with the creation, and they resemble the creation with Allah. They do both. Based upon both meanings, as I said. Right, everyone? As you'll find that they have images in some of their churches of that Allah is this big, tall man with this long beard, with this staff, and is pointing to all this other nonsense. You understand, everyone? In some of the churches. Not all of them, but some of them. You see this. So now they have what? They resemble Allah, the creation. How do they resemble the creation with Allah, everyone? By them worshiping Isa, by saying he's Lord. Praising him above his status by saying he's Lord, or he's part of Allah, or he's third of three, or he's his son. Similar to what the Sufis do. Same thing. They resemble the creation with Allah because they say he's combined with the creation. That's why you'll find that a lot of them, you'll find in their practices, you'll find that they make dua and call on their mawlas. They don't call on Allah. They call on their mawla and dua. Mawla fulan, save me. Hear my call. Yahi, that's polytheism in its utmost form. You're calling on the creation? But why are they calling on the creation? Because they believe the creation is one with Allah and Allah is one with the what? The creation. Because that's the belief of Ibn Arabi. He even said it clearly out of his own mouth. He said, the servant is Allah. The servant is the Lord and the Lord is the servant. How can anyone be what? Burdened with any duties. That's the reason why from the most extremists, from the Sufis, once they reach a certain level, they say, I don't have to pray anymore. I don't have to fast anymore. I don't have to pay zakat anymore. All these duties have been dropped off of me because I reached a high level, as they say, of surety. I reached the level of yaqeen, as they say. Whereas now they reached a level that they are one with the Creator, and the Creator is one with who? With Allah. That's based upon the belief. You will find because of that belief system, they make dua to the dead, whether they be righteous or wicked. They make dua to their mawlas. Not only people who are dead, even people who are alive, they make dua to them. You'll even find the Habib of Jifri, Ali al-Jifri. He says that it's permissible to make dua to the Messenger of Allah, to call on him. It's permissible to raise your voice, to raise your hands and call on the Messenger of Allah in your supplication. Which you, in that one action that you raise out and say out of your mouth, you call on a human being, you've destroyed the whole mission of the Messenger of Allah. His whole mission was to demolish that ideology. That was his whole mission. The whole mission of why creation was created in the first place. And also the reason why he came with his mission was to firstly establish that foundation first. Once you've destroyed that, everything else is destroyed. You've destroyed your hajj, your umrah, your prayers for praying 5 times a day, your salat. Everything you've done is worthless. Once you now have fell into the number one thing which the Messenger of Allah came to destroy and eradicate, which was polytheism. He laid that down before any of the other actions came. Because the Messenger of Allah knew that if you fell into that, everything else beyond that is what? It's fruitless. You're finished. Your hajj, your umrah, you made it hajj twice. You may probably pray in Ramadan 1,000 rakat. If you make shirk with Allah, all that's done and void. It's done. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's what we're saying in regards to what? To Sufiya. So in regards to these things what the Christians believe, like we said, in regards to the Christians. So I say in regards to the Christians, brothers, focus on me. It's not a big deal. Focus. In regards to the Christians resemble Allah the creation and they resemble the creation with Allah and polytheism. It's the same thing the Christians do. It's the same thing the Sufis do. And it's the same thing of those who grave worship from the Shia and other than them. And like we said that the majority of the Sufis they take from the Shia, that's from their religion, you'll find that grave worshiping originally came from the Shia. And if you study that, you'll find that also Sufiya has Buddhism in it. You'll find that a lot of their ideologies is incorporated Buddhism. Buddhism is the belief that one is the creation is one with the creation was one with the Creator. That's Buddhism. And you'll find if you go back to the history of Sufiya that they incorporated that in it. It's an incorporation of Buddhism inside of it. Isn't Buddhism paganism? Deep-rooted paganism, isn't it? It is. That ideology of a paganistic type of practice and belief, the Sufis took it. And if you look to Buddha, especially because it came from India, and then how the Chinese and them, they started mixing it. If you go back to the history of it, it's all together. Because if you look to Buddha, and even look to the statue of it, how it goes back to India. Because that's where Buddha came from. Look at the history. I started from India and he ended up in China. Oh, man, history. Anyway. But in regards to this, brothers and sisters, you said this is the meaning for as far as the image of Ar-Rahman, and we'll talk about the rest later. But is there any questions about the lesson? You guys took me for Kitaab At-Tawheed for this narration. Other than that, I'll finish. Gee. So is it clear what the narration is? Tafadhal. You have a question? Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Any questions? Tafadhal. I don't have to. You have to clarify anything. We have the Sufis books. You can't speak for any of them. I have their books. I have their recordings. I have everything. You don't need to speak on behalf of anyone. I have everything verbally recorded. I have their books. I have everything. So I don't need to hear an individual tell me anything. Is it clear? Oh, that dal mudil khabith. Listen, I'll talk to you later. I'll speak to you later. I will speak to you later. I will speak to you later. Everybody, every lesson, is it done? We good? We good? We finish? We finish? You finish? I'm online. Are you finished? All right, khalas. I'll see you guys later. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه